monthly meeting of the Department of Social Services Board. I'd like to call the meeting to order and observe a moment of silent prayer or silent meditation. Amen. According to our clerk to the board, there are no speakers signed up for the public comments, so unless someone needs to make any changes to the agenda as published.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
All righty.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And inside that said agenda package, you had the minutes to our May meeting. Are there any changes needed to the May meeting minutes? Ooh, that's a tongue twister. If no changes are needed, then a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion to approve the May meeting minutes has been made and appropriately seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we get to the fun part of the agenda. We have our items for of note and
Doing it.
That's it.
And I'm doing it.
okay, and Jan Elliott is going to talk about our graduates.
We are fortunate to have with us today some of our 11 high school graduating foster children. I am so proud of what they've done. It's a great accomplishment, a major milestone, and I know each and every one of these folks has great plans for the future, and we want to be here to support them. And we have a little something for them that I'll call their names, and they can come down, and then I'll entertain any comments from anybody, including you ladies and gentlemen. Jihad,
Cool.
would you like to come stand up here for me?
Up your head, goosebumps.
Jihad is going to Pitt Community College. He just graduated from North Pitt. And turn around, a little token. Okay, Nasia Kopich is coming. Nasia just graduated from Rose.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's going in the Navy.
Oh,
Congratulations.
She's leaving in July. And you have a little something here for you. And Madeline Steffen. And Madeline, why don't you come stand right here, and I'll kind of get in the middle between all the tall people. And Madeline, here's a little something for you. Madeline's was in school in Greensboro and graduated from Ben L. Smith. Yeah, I'm having a senior moment. High school. And so we are just so proud of them. Madeline is going to take a little time off and work, and then she's going to a college in the spring. So they have done wonderful things, and I am just really so proud of each and every one of you. And we want to be here to support you if you need our help. So I don't know if any of the board members want to say anything.
Congratulations.
I think this is
Way to
wonderful.
go.
I'm
Thank you
glad
so much.
each of you have a goal.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Pitt County's mighty proud of you.
Absolutely.
There you go. We have a small reception, and in just a moment I'll let you all say if you want to say anything. There's a microphone over there.
And don't fight
Good
to
time to get in
go
history.
first.
Okay. So we have a small reception for them in the back. So thank y'all. You can have a seat, and then we'll go back to the reception whenever.
Is it appropriate to clap or anything? Can we clap?
Yes, you can
Let's
clap. Yay!
Good job. Great
You want
job.
to break right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and break right now so they can enjoy that, and then.
So, as the guests of honor, you guys go
Go
first.
first.
Okay. So come on.
That's you three. Welcome back, and we were very excited to be able to spend a few minutes celebrating with our foster kids who graduated from high school this year. Now we have an item for consent, which was permission to file a grant application. Is there anything you want to say about the grant?
This is basically a grant from the food stamp folks to help improve technology and customer service here in Pitt County. We will be pursuing this with the commissioners next week, so to get permission to apply. Anybody got any questions about the grant, I'll try and answer it.
So we approve it, so
Don't
then
we
you
need
can
to
take
take
it
it
to the
over.
commissioners. Is there a motion to carry the grant application to the county commissioners for approval to file?
So move.
I second.
It's been appropriately moved and seconded to approve pushing the application forward to the commissioners for consideration. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is this going to be the way it is here, or are you doing it?
No, Cynthia's here.
Okay. The Elder Abuse Awareness Month on our items for report, Cynthia's going to handle.
Good afternoon. I think that mic was a little low or something.
Okay, is that better? The activities that we have planned for this month, on this coming Friday of this week at 9:30 out in the front circle, we will all meet. Everybody is welcome to walk. We will take about a mile walk. This walk is usually just to take a little bit of time out, reflect on what we do, reflect on what we can do. June is a month long, and it's hard with the work that we do to try and plan activities, but this is something important every year that we take out the time to take a walk, kind of ponder our own, personal involvement, what steps we can take, and just show awareness to the community. So everybody is welcome. That's at 9:30 in the front. The color, if you'd like to wear something special, is purple around that awareness, so wear your purple. This year, Mideast did some T-shirts around elder abuse awareness, and we supported that. So many of us will have some white T-shirts with elder abuse awareness. So that's our first event. The second event, each of you got added to your packet today, this flyer here. You are welcome to share this flyer. This is open to the community. This is on Tuesday, June 26th at 10 o'clock. This is kind of the first ever kind of big event we've tried to put on in the community. It started out somewhat smaller. Our supervisor team has worked very hard to put this together, as well as public information has partnered with us. The media is being invited. It's considered a floral float, and what it is we'll have some people presenting a little bit of information around elder abuse. It's meant to be somewhat of a brief ceremony around that. Awareness, celebration of people who've survived it, commitment to that cause and what we personally can do. And then at the conclusion of it, people have an opportunity to draw a flower, whatever that special topic means to them, and be able to put a flower in the river and float away.
Nice.
So that will be our event. It's open to the public. That's at 10 o'clock. It'll be in the Town Commons area with the amphitheater. So.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you for getting these items, or these events planned, you and the team. Child care update, Michelle McCorkle.
And I think Michelle has her team with her, so some of them may in fact be presenting. And this is basically an update because, as you know, NC Fast and Child Care got together this year for the first time, and that it has certainly created some issues, and some of you may have heard some things from various providers in the community, so kind of wanted to give you an update. So, Michelle, who's going to present for you all? And introduce your crew.
As a means to work towards finalizing the expenditures for this fiscal year, the state submitted reports to the counties for them to process and work. And with me today, I have Ms. Dee Hill, who is the manager for the Employment Services and Child Care Unit. And I also have Alva Jones-Hopkins, who is the supervisor for the Child Care Subsidy Unit, and they will be giving you their findings as a result of that report that they completed.
Great.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and I will begin with the PowerPoint slide presentation that we have prepared based on our underpayments and overpayments report that we completed. The report was broken down into two segments. The date of receipt initially was April the 17th, and the overpayment, underpayment report was prioritized into two segments by providers. Group 1 contained 351 line items for review. Group 2, 458 line items for review. The target date for completion of the report. The report receipt date again was April 17th. However, since then, the state held a conference call on April the 24th. The purpose of this conference call was to further explain to counties how to execute the report. There were some questions on how to actually execute it, and this conference call resulted in counties having a smoother process on executing the report. So with that, the report actually began work on April the 24th. Group 1 was due by May 4th, and Group 2 was due by June 4th. They also requested weekly reporting from the unit by submitting the entire spreadsheet to show what had been completed at each week. There were expectations, and they included performance reviews and records results of reviews of the spreadsheet. It was expected for workers to review each line item and record the results once a determination was made. Action would be taken after verification of the findings based on the results of the review. And this would include assigning a responsible party and approving and activating deductions for recoupment of the overpayment and underpayments. The process. The process involved reviewing the proposed overpayment and underpayment amounts, determining if the provider was enrolled during the time that the service was rendered, calculating what the provider would have been paid based on their approved rates, attendance roster, parent fee, and the age of the child during the time the services were rendered. Determine if the proposed amount from the state actually matched the calculations that were reviewed. Determine the responsible party. If the responsible party was the provider, then the county was to make contact to determine at what percentage they would agree to the recoupment. And also, in addition to that, the provider would have to complete a voluntary payment agreement form to have it signed and notarized consenting to the recoupment. If this was due to a client, then they would follow the same procedure. The county findings. The correct overpayment findings activated and approved as systems errors was $14,896. The correct underpayment activated and approved systems errors was $2,501. Incorrect overpayments were $68,604, and incorrect underpayments $2,595.
The county error total sum, possible overpayment and underpayment totals were $93,791. Total county errors for the overpayments were $4,622. The total county errors for underpayment was $127. The total sum for the county errors were $4,749. Also noted, out of the errors, there were, out of all the cases that were reviewed, there were 809 cases that were reviewed. 9 of these cases were deemed as county errors. This was a total of 0.0% of the cases that were reviewed. Completion date. The spreadsheet was completed and submitted on May 14th. This was done 2 weeks prior to the deadline. The staff worked 10-hour days to complete the project timely. Any questions?
So, for the public, and I may ask a question that you can't answer right off the top of your head, if they reviewed 800 cases out of how many in a year?
We have how many? We have over 1,500 children receiving care.
Yes.
And during the year, there actually would be more than that because some come and go.
Right.
But, and those 800 and some lines were not individual cases. Those were individual months, right? If I remember correctly.
Right.
They were individual service months
Right.
for individual children based on errors.
So if you have 1,500 kids in a month on service times 12 months,
This was,
I guess I'm trying to point out there was 15,000 lines, and out of the 809 they pulled, only 9 were county errors.
right, I
That's-
mean, and that was the
that's-
point
right.
of the zero.
So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean,
That's
this
very
was
good.
part, yeah, they did our staff did an excellent job. A lot of this was system issues that were going on during the implementation of NC Fast. The county errors were a result of just some misunderstandings and just getting accustomed to the system. But a lot of this was system error. And unfortunately, the state was trying to, did not allow counties to make corrections as they went along. They held all of this until April so that they could make sure that they had a good handle on what was system issues, how they could correct these system issues so that hopefully the
So they're
errors
not-
didn't continue.
They're not perpetuating again.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there's still some issues continuing, but they're not as many. But now we have a process and a procedure to work it out. So the point was that for us were that there were a lot of system issues initially. I think the second point was that the county was not responsible for the bulk of the errors. The third thing, though, that you need to understand is that everybody's going to have to pay the money back. And so you may hear from providers saying that they're being asked to repay these errors. You may hear from folks that they are not being paid the correct amount, and they are underpaid. But it was a very small amount of underpayments when you look at all, $9 million in child care monies that are paid out in Pitt County a year. It was a very minimal amount, again, less than a percent. And so different providers may react differently, and you may see some clients, some folks who receive subsidy having to do something. We, of course, had to write the check for the county errors, which was the $4,000 back to the state.
And then it's added work on us because the county staff is responsible for negotiating the recoupment agreement and getting it signed and notarized for an error that you guys didn't create.
Right. That
But
is
you
correct.
guys are, unfortunately, the solution lies with us and not with the state who may have had the
Right.
issue.
Right. And that the very short turnaround time that these folks had to get this done, again, because it had to be done before year end, and so the state set a very tight deadline on getting it done. So I want to thank y'all.
I should say, you are to be commended
Oh,
for
yeah.
turning it
I also
around
like
as
to see
quickly.
that the foresight for Jan to give them opportunities to do the time on a 10-hour day rather than an 8-hour day. That's helpful too, because that means that the staff could be a bit more relaxed as far as not stressed to say, oh, we can't, I gotta come in and.
And then you celebrate because you were
Yeah.
ahead of that deadline.
It was
You were
done.
done
Yes.
before June 4th.
Yes, they beat that deadline.
And so for those of you who had kids who were graduating and all the things that go with that, you didn't have to try to work and deal with all the year end of school stuff. So But you all are to be commended for the very few errors and for how quickly you turned it all around.
Thank you.
Anything else from anybody else before we move on? Next item on the agenda is the board appointment.
We still don't have anybody.
Okay, so Susan and Jan and I talked about putting this on the agenda because Becky's term is officially, her published term ends this month, but we don't have a replacement. We are still advertising for a replacement. There was one person on the list that we're going to check to see.
We checked with him and suggested that he update his application if he is interested
Still
in
interested.
continuing to serve, and he has
'Cause
not
it-
done that yet.
Okay, so we don't have any candidates, so I would say, if you know anybody, please encourage them to complete an application. But we have also checked, and it is okay for Becky to continue to serve month to month if she is so willing, as long as we make the decision that we would like to keep her month to month as a board.
So do I say yes first, or do y'all decide first?
Well, I know what my answer is. When there are only 5 of us to start with, I want you for as
You
long as
want,
you're
you want me
willing
to leave while
stay.
y'all vote?
But it would be my recommendation that we approve and
That you keep
encourage
me
and
on.
allow Becky to continue to serve until we can find a replacement.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
I will second that motion.
Okay. So while we are continuing to recruit, and you guys are asking your friends, neighbors, and loved ones, we have a motion and a second to ask Becky to continue to serve, if she is so willing, until a replacement has been found.
I'll be honored to.
So all those,
If down there agree.
Well, I was trying to say, who made the motion?
I made the motion, Jim
So you
seconded
can't
it.
carry your own motion.
She's doing parliamentarian stuff, right?
Yeah, because some people can be techie sitting out in the public.
There's nothing that says that the chair of this board can't make a motion. It's a voting position.
It is
But
very-
Jim can make the motion and I'll be his second.
I
Or
will
you, one
make
of
the-
you guys can make the motion.
Well, this
I
is
just
what
know
we were saying
we
that,
only
you
have
know,
5
we should do
people,
that.
so a vacancy on this
I
board.
think we
is-
should do that.
so.
So I will make the motion then that Becky
And
can.
I'll second it.
All right, so Jim makes the motion.
Now you carry it.
Mary seconds it. All those in
You still
favor,
don't
let it
agree
be
with
known
me?
by saying aye.
Aye.
So thank you, Becky, for your willingness
I want
to
us to
stay.
be, Robert's correct.
So-
And I wouldn't dare say without Robert's correctness.
So, I feel
Thank
like
you.
a legacy for that position, that Mr. James, because he's always Robert's rules too.
See, that must.
Oh, God.
It comes from that area of the county, Mary.
County,
Yeah.
that's right.
Director's report, next item
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay. Don't have a whole lot this month. You've got your vacancy report. You see that we currently have 17 vacant positions. The one position that is frozen has now been unfrozen, so we are advertising. Several of the positions have not been filled because we're having to re-advertise.
Well, and while you're right there, how about report out publicly how many new positions you've got approved in the budget?
Good deal.
The commissioners fortunately approved 6 positions for us. 3 are the foster care workers, 1 is a foster care supervisor, and 2 prevention social workers. So we are excited about that. The job descriptions are being written now as we speak, and so hopefully we can start recruiting shortly after
And we
we
want
get
the
the
public
information
to
back.
update their applications.
Yeah. So yeah, we very much appreciate what the commissioners did for us in that.
We thank you, Jan, for going to bat so heavy-handedly,
Thank you.
in a polite kind of way.
Try to be polite. You see your Medicaid application report. As you can see, we met all the requirements this month. We are at 93% for both Medicaid, for the disabled and other Medicaid, so we met that part. We also met the average processing time, 51 days for MAD and 27 days for other Medicaid. So we were able to accomplish that. We still have not heard back on the March appeal as to whether they're going to grant that or not, so we still may have 1 month now on the books as having not passed unless they grant that appeal. The memorandum of understanding is in your packet. We've talked about it a lot. They have changed it again. And every adjustment gets it a little better and a little better. So we are appreciative of that. What I will say is that we will be presenting to the county commissioners for them to decide about the signing of this, since this is an agreement between Pitt County and the state. It is not an agreement between social services and the state. So I'm on the agenda for the 18th to have that conversation. Scott and I will be having that conversation with the commissioners. And so if anybody's got any questions, I didn't think we needed to go over it again. Hopefully y'all have seen enough of the changes to know that it continues to improve. But this is the last version, so there will be no more updates. Mr. Elliott and I did agree today that I will be the person that will be named as the contact point in this agreement. And I told him that I felt like any letters we get regarding this agreement in the early stages, I will share a copy with the board chair here for the DSS board and a copy with the county manager in case they're not already CC'd. So that way we make sure there's no surprises for anybody if we are having a problem. And I can guarantee you we're going to get some of those letters because you can't hit every one of these indicators every month, and nobody is right now hitting every one of these indicators every month. So we will be getting some letters, I'm confident. So, anybody got any questions about that? All right. We stuck in your packet the public notice that's going out everywhere about the changes. We've talked about that before, I think, about the crisis funds. As you know, July, we get our new allocation, so this is when people are going to start finding out, if they haven't seen one of these notices, that we no longer pay for water, sewer, garbage collection, or any of those kinds of things when they get their bill that's past due. So the recipient who's coming in to apply for assistance is going to have to pay the portion of the bill before we will pay for the cooling or the heating. So they'll have to pay that portion and bring us proof back before we will pay the other portion. And that is a federal requirement, and so we do have to implement that.
And have we had conversation with the local utility providers about partial payments and applying it against certain charges of that partial payment? So that they're bringing the bill back like you need it?
We'll let Michelle talk about all that has been done up to this point.
Yes.
I asked because I was working down in Aden, and I remember some of the conversations I could overhear from my desk when people were trying to get that straight.
We've reached out to all of our utility companies within this area and made them aware of the clarification, sent out publication, shared a flyer with them, and have requested that they post it there in their company, as well as begin to communicate with their customers as they come in about the change. We've also been in communication with Mike Emery, the public information officer, and he has been working with us. It's been included in the public notice portion of our newspaper. It is posted on our county website. It's posted on DSS's website.
I think it's on Facebook also.
On the Facebook page. Any of the type of social media avenues that the county utilizes, he's also posted it there. We'll be communicating or reaching out again middle of this month, as a matter of fact, as a final push in an effort to make sure that we have reached as many individuals as we can, because this will be a drastic change from the way we operated before, and our goal was to try to have individuals as informed as possible prior to July 1st.
And we've posted signs all over our buildings too, so that
yes.
As folks come in, hopefully they will see the signs.
And any of the individuals that have been coming in to apply now, we've been communicating that as well.
And you didn't get any
desperate
pushback or anything from the utilities about different sources of money paying a single bill?
And I think one of the things that we've tried to focus on is the understanding that this is a clarification from the state. It was not optional in terms of if we abide by this or not. So, no.
So there are no exceptions?
No.
That sounds like you have done everything you can do to make everybody aware and ready.
Wow.
When the funds come in July, how much typically is spent of the annual allocation on the cooling side versus the heating side? Did you try to spend
It
it half
depends a
and
lot,
half
doesn't it, on
on
what
the
the
weather?
weather is.
And
Last year and the year
right.
before, though, we spent like much.
Right, and truly it does depend on how the weather is. If it takes a while for the cold season to set in and stay, or how extreme the temperatures are, the warm temperatures are, and how far into the fall that the extreme temperatures may exist. So it really does vary from year to year as far as what our temperatures
I know,
exhibit.
not last year, but not this past summer, but the summer before, we probably spent more than 50% of it during the warm months.
Right.
I think last year is probably a little less, but
And then if we could be fortunate to have a mild weather time frame in between the seasonal change from summer to winter, then that would be fortunate for us and diminish some of the need that we could distribute.
and this year we ran out of monies in mid-March,
Right.
end of March, somewhere like that, because we had such a cold winter.
Right.
Is this a federal mandate that trickled down to the state, or is this a state of North Carolina?
Federal.
It's federal.
Federal.
Yes.
Great. Any more questions for Michelle?
The Pitt County Council on the Aging is off. It might be a good time to say, because some seniors do not want air conditioning too much. And so the Pitt County Council of the Aging is offering fans to the seniors. So those of you in the listening audience who are not particularly fond of air conditioning, fans are available at the Pitt County Council on the Aging.
Thank you, Michelle.
That's all I know.
Is that it
Unless,
for you?
yeah, unless somebody's got a question about the director report that I sent you. That's all I have.
I read it.
So, we need, as a board, to take a few minutes to go into closed session. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Yeah.
First, it's been moved and seconded. Susan, can you read us into closed session, please? It will be a very brief moment.
North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 regarding closed sessions. Permitted purposes, it is the policy of this state that closed sessions shall be held only when required to permit a public body to act in the public interest as permitted in this section. A public body may hold a closed session and exclude the public only when a closed session is required, subsection 6, regarding personnel, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee, prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee.
Thank you. So are we off the air?
I'll
yet?
make sure.
I was hoping, because I never saw the picture come back. We're back now out of closed session. There is no action to report. We
I
are,
see is anyone outside wanting to come back in.
Yep.
Susan can get you.
yeah, because Ginger and
Ginger would be it,
Paul
probably.
maybe.
Brian has left.
Okay, so we are now back out of closed session. There is no action to report other than we will be sharing Jan's annual evaluation with the county, and any board member comments.
About anything?
About anything, yeah,
Anything.
between now and
I have really been inspired by today's meeting. It has been just mind-blowing. The graduates, just, again,
they were the
Jan,
most polite.
wonderful.
Inspired.
Wonderful.
They're wonderful
Very
children, they
respectful.
really are.
Very,
Young people.
very polite.
I was amazed at the count, 11.
And they all seem to have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
They're focused on the future.
And how many of the 11 that graduated do you think will stay on for the, because they can stay with Shantae and
Right.
get some help until, what, 21?
21.
21.
And there is some move afoot in this Families First to increase it to 23. So, my understanding is most of them are planning to continue on. I think the young lady that's in the Navy probably wouldn't get as much benefit from this program since she's going to be in boot camp and then on to various trainings. I think there's one other child that has indicated that she's not planning to continue, but the rest of them are planning to. And we have 20-some children that are, or young people that are
That are
involved
over.
in the 18 to 21. Now, one or two will drop and a couple more will come on, but we have a very large number.
Well, and as long as they know that they've always got somebody they can call,
Mm-hmm.
that safety net is
Right.
priceless.
And the young lady who is going into military, will she still, even though she's not going to be actively followed, she will still be able to?
Oh, our children reach back out to Shantae on a regular basis, or to, if they've had a long-term social worker, a lot of them will call them back and stay in touch.
y'all can get.
Yeah, we try to stay in touch.
Wow, how neat.
It's so special.
Madam Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor. However, July 10th is the next board meeting. I will say that now. All
July
those in
10th.
favor of adjourning.
Aye.
Bye.
July 10th.